in phase. Making sure we have the technology working. So you can see us and hear us all right online? Okay, very good.
Yep, all good, thanks.
Well, good morning everyone, and thank you for attending the Ordinary Council meeting today. I declare the Ordinary meeting of 18th of March 2026 open at 9 a.m. I advise members of the public that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded in accordance with Council's standing orders. I note that Councillor Bowman is attending via Microsoft Teams today in accordance with our standing orders. Councillors and staff are reminded of their responsibilities under their respective codes of conduct, both inside the council meeting and when dealing externally on behalf of council. I'd like to start by, on behalf of Whitsunday Regional Council, acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet here today and pay my respects to elders past and present. We recognise their deep enduring connection to country and we extend our respect and gratitude for their wisdom and their culture. Welcome fellow councillors, WRC staff, members of the public and the media in the room. Item number 1 on today's agenda is apologies, leaves of absence, which we have none recorded. And again, note Councillor Bowman is joining us online. Item number 2 is our condolences. Are there any councillors wish to acknowledge any recently deceased members of our community? On behalf of Whitsunday Regional Council, we would like to acknowledge and pay our respects to the recently departed of the Whitsundays region and offer our sincere condolences to their families and loved ones. Would everyone please join me in standing for a minute of silence? Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Next item on today's agenda is the confirmation of the prior minutes. Item 3.1, confirmation of minutes, 25th of February 2026, the Ordinary Council meeting. I have a move at Councillor Collins, second at Councillor Finlay. Any discussion on those minutes? The motion that Council confirms the minutes of the Ordinary meeting held 25th of February 2026. I put to the vote. Those in favour?
I agree.
The motion is carried unanimously. Moving to item 3.2, confirmation of minutes, 25th of February 2026, special budget meeting. Move Councillor Clifford. I'll second that one. Any discussion on those minutes from the special meeting? Okay, the motion that Council confirms the minutes of the special meeting budget held on the 25th of February 2026. I put to the vote. Those in favour? The motion is carried unanimously. Moving to item 3.3, confirmation of minutes, 4th of March 2026, special meeting, budget. Move Councillor Clifford, second Councillor Finlay. Any discussion regarding the special meeting minutes from the 4th of March? The motion that Council confirms the minutes of the special meeting budget held on the 4th of March 2026, I put to the vote. Those in favour?
I agree.
The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving to item number 4, business arising. Would any councillor like to raise any business arising from the previous minutes? No, we'll keep moving to 4.1, public question response, 25th of February 2026, including 2 public question response letters for Alicia Lee and Kelly Dowling. The questions were taken on notice and the responses have been provided as part of the agenda. Do you want to comment on that at all, Mr. CEO? No. Everyone okay with that? Yep, okay, very good. All right, item number 5, Merrill Minute. There is no Merrill Minute for this meeting. Item number 6, notices of motion. We have received no notices of motion for this meeting. Item number 7, deputations. We have no deputations organised for this meeting. Item number 8, petitions and questions on notice. Councillor Wright, do you have a petition or question on notice you'd like to raise?
Thank you, through the Chair. I do have, it's not a petition as such, but As discussed with the Mayor and Councillors, I was approached by Owen Provis to present the community consultation regarding divisions or no divisions, and it was outside the consultation period. So I did meet with them the Tuesday after it closed on Sunday. They still had their say and filled out. I've got 30 odd forms here. So majority of these forms, except one, I think was unsure, but majority of them wanted to keep a divided model. So I just wanted to lay that on the table and ask that it just be, obviously it can't be presented with the results today, but just put with the results for future reference, please.
I'm comfortable with that, Councillor Wright. So we'll just note it is that the CEO has received the survey results for inclusion in the information relating to the matter. Okay, so I believe we've also got a question on notice. Councillor Finlay, are you going to read that one for us?
Yeah, I can, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I understand your question. Matters of importance, but anyway, it doesn't matter. The question is, provide an update, or to the CEO, provide an update on the designs of the plans for Mullers Lagoon Master Plan and the estimated date for commencement of construction in 26-27.
You're going to respond to that one, Director Wright? Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Finlay, basically Mullers Master Plan is out to market for construction drawings for capital works in the 25-26. Have capital works bids in for next year and future years. So 26-27 financial year, a request has been submitted for 1.045 million 560 through capital work bids. 27-28 1 million, and 30-31 1 million. Anything else I'll have to take on notice back to the manager.
Happy with that, Councillor?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a great response, and yeah, really looking forward to the project commencing. And I was out there on the weekend actually, and a lot of mud and everything out there following the rain, and some great bridges, a lot of birds, and yeah. So once we get this all up and running, seal tracks and whatever, it's going to be really great asset for the region.
Thank you, Councillor Finlay. All right, we'll move to agenda item number 9, which is questions from the public gallery. Mr. CEO, have we received anything for the meeting? No? Okay. Item number 10 is our committee reports. So there are no agenda items for this section today. Moving to item number 11, which is the start of our officers' reports, and I'll just note before we get going that there was a supplementary agenda item which has been added in at 11.10, so we'll just flow into that after the other officers' reports before we go into confidential sessions. So. Okay, moving to item 11.1, which is the resignation of the Deputy Mayor and appointment of a replacement. So councillors, the next item of this business is the election of the Deputy Mayor following the resignation of Councillor Wright, who previously held the position and tendered her resignation at the last ordinary meeting. Council is required to declare the office vacant and appoint a replacement in accordance with the Local Government Act 2009, Section 165. This matter must be conducted in open session as there is no permitted ground for closing the meeting under Section 30 of the Standing Orders. Councillors, before we proceed, does any councillor have a prescribed or declarable conflict of interest in relation to the item? Okay, on that note, do I have a mover and seconder for the following motion that Council declare the office of the Deputy Mayor vacant in accordance with Section 1653 of the Local Government Act 2009? Move Councillor Clifford, second Councillor Collins. All in favour for that?
I agree.
The motion is carried unanimously. Before we move to nominations, I'd like to acknowledge and thank the efforts of Councillor Wright in the service of the Deputy Mayor role over the last 2 years of this term.
Thank you.
So now I'd like to call for nominations for the role of Deputy Mayor. Councillor Collins.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Finlay. If I have a second, I'll speak to it.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Okay. We don't have a seconder there.
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Bowman, would you like to propose a nomination?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Councillor Simpson, please.
So Councillor Bowman would like to nominate Councillor Simpson. Do I have a seconder?
Can I accept the nomination?
I think we actually need a seconder for it, so. Okay, not going anywhere. Would anyone else like to pose a nomination? Okay, I'll come back to, I guess I need to probably keep things going, do I?
I'm happy to second Councillor Finlay's
Nomination? Okay. Are you happy to receive that nomination, Councillor Finlay?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I won't say there's any further nominations, but I will declare the nominations closed. So all councillors in favour of Councillor Finlay being appointed Deputy Mayor, please raise your hand. Those against?
I am against.
Okay, the motion is carried 4-3. Councillor Finlay is appointed the new Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
So I'll just get the resolution correct here. So your councillors resolved to appoint Councillor John Finlay as Deputy Mayor effective immediately in accordance with section 1655 of the Local Government Act 2009. Congratulations once again, Councillor Finlay.
Yeah,
Yep, would you like to speak to something, Councillor Finlay?
yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, councillors. Thank you for your support in nominating and appointing me to the Deputy Mayor position. I'm honoured and blessed to accept the position. I convey our gratitude to Councillor Michelle, as you've just done, Mayor, in undertaking her role since the election, and her commitment to not only her huge division, but also to the role of Deputy Mayor. Mayor, I'd like to state a quote from Bernard Salt, who was at our Economic Development Forum back in 2004. And Bernard goes and says, regardless of local demographics, the single most important thing for a community to have, I think, is unity. And the most galvanising force for any community is to know and to agree with where it's heading. And that was in October 2004. As a council, we are strategically positioning the council for the future as our economic development strategy depicts. While servicing the needs of the community and strategising for the future, council must have all of the appropriate plans in place to provide direction and guidance for the investment of the community. Council is required to operate in an efficient and effective manner and within the financial constraints, taking into consideration the affordability of ratepayers to fund the operations. I believe with the continued review of our operations, we are nearing the completion of our strategic financial plans to set this council up for an accountable future in meeting all of the above. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Finlay. All right, we'll keep moving, people. Item 11.2, which is our planning scheme amendment, short-term accommodation, final adoption and commencement.
Mr. Mayor, can you here with a PowerPoint?
Yep. So do I have a mover first? Move Councillor Wright, and I will second that one. So Tika, I will hand over to you to talk us through this report, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Mayor and councillors and through the chair. This report marks an important milestone for the planning scheme amendment for short-term accommodation, being that council is now in the final stage of the administrative process, with councillors now able to consider whether to adopt the planning scheme amendment into the scheme. The amendment aims to better balance the needs of local residents and tourists by clearly stating that short-term accommodation is not supported within the low-density residential zone, with the exception of 10 precinct areas where the use may be supported subject to requirements. So you can see here that we are now in the final stage of the administrative process, with council now able to consider whether to adopt the amendment into the planning scheme. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions on the amendment.
Do we have any questions for Teague before we discuss the item? Okay, would anyone like to speak to the report or the recommendation? Can we get the recommendation back up there, please? That's
I would just briefly.
certainly, Councillor.
Just like to thank the planning department for all the work. There's a lot of steps that go into this. I did look back, it was August 2021 when I had my first email with Councillor Clifford about concerns in the way the planning amendment was done then. So I'm happy to see that all this time later we've been through all the required processes, and I think this is a step forward, and especially with the coordination with our local law. Thank you, and thanks to the team, Teak.
I'll speak to that as well, Councillor Bowman, and really congratulate the team on getting to this point. Change doesn't happen overnight. It does take small steps and progress to reach that, but I think what we've got here around this particular issue of short-term accommodation is something that provides better certainty to our community around what our expectations are and what we hope to achieve with regards to short-term accommodation here. I guess that this is another step. It's not saying that it's a closed-out issue. Or I guess we need to monitor and keep an eye on things. I'd like to note, obviously, that we've obviously opened consultation around the local law as well, which is the sort of the second integral part to that. To be progressed. I think in an ideal world we would have had them sort of coming together at the same time, but I don't think that the sort of that being delayed is going to overly inhibit the application of this planning scheme amendment. So really making sure that we've got these frameworks and local laws included is really critical to make sure that we eliminate any confusion in the community and industry, and something that I think we know that the Airbnbs and short-term accommodation is popular in our region, and we need to be providing some leadership in that space. So thank you to your efforts to the team. Would anyone else like to speak to it? Councillor Clifford.
Just on a point of clarity for me. So if we pass this, are all these areas that are spoken of, are they now code accessible rather than impact? Because at the moment the only one that's code is actually Early Beach Bowl. Everything else is impact. And is it here or is it in the local law that we apply a cap? Because it's already at 20% at Chute Harbour, and the people that live there and go to work and all the rest of it have the right to some amenity as well.
Thank you, Councillor Clifford. Anyone like to respond to that? Who would like to respond to that?
Thanks, Councillor Clifford, and through you, Mr. Mayor. The planning scheme amendment does reduce the level of assessment within STA precincts to code accessible, with all areas in the low density residential zone outside of those precincts being impact accessible. The STA precincts essentially account for about 20% of the low density residential zone, which essentially does provide a spatial cap. Further caps may be something that can be investigated through the local law amendment.
Thank you. Councillor Finlay.
Mr. Mayor, just supporting Councillor Dan's request for information there. Can we progress that to get a report back on the capping, to whether what the process is and the legalities of it?
Is that one?
It's not part of this motion.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, I think we are currently on consultation in relation to the local law. It's the best chance for the community, if they believe a capping process is appropriate or other submissions can come in. It'd be useful during this period of consultation to gain that. At the end of that consultation, if we receive those type of things, we'll come back to council with potential opportunities for that.
Councillor Clifford.
Thank you. Particularly over the past week or so, I've been receiving a lot of complaints about STAs, and particularly up Airlie Hill, so to speak, where people have put their properties into short-term accommodation, but then they leave their boat and everything else in the garage. So there is basically no off-street parking. And if you go for a drive up Arana Street or one of those other streets, you'll see everybody all over the place. The bus can't turn around. It's really huge, and I understand that that's probably something to do with local laws. But if we're going to allow these things, we really have to make sure that they do the right thing.
Yeah, good. Any further discussion on the item? The motion that Council adopt the Whitsunday Regional Council Planning Scheme version 5 in accordance with Chapter 2, Part 4, Section 22.1a of the Minister's Guidelines and Rules, and authorise the CEO to undertake the following actions in accordance with Chapter 2, Part 4, Section 22.1b and Section 22 of the Minister's Guidelines and Rules, being publish a public notice in accordance with the Act and Schedule 5 of the MGR to commence the Whitsunday Regional Council Planning Scheme 2017 version 5 and notify the Department of State Development, Infrastructure, Local Government and Planning. I put to the vote. Those in favour?
I agree.
Those against? The motion is carried 6-1. Thank you, Teague. Okay, moving to our next agenda item, which is 11.3, Strategic Procurement Pilot Program. Move Councillor Wright, second Councillor Simpson. Amy, would you like to speak to your report?
Good morning, Mr Mayor, councillors and staff. So this morning I am here to present the Strategic Procurement Pilot Program. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider initiating a strategic procurement pilot within the Commercial Directorate, initially starting with our aviation department. All local governments, as you are aware, must comply with local government regulations when entering into a contract for the supply of goods or services, either through default contracting procedures or through our strategic procurement policy. Currently, our council are working within the default procurement policy. Current challenges that we do face within that aviation department with the default procurement policy largely relates to its limited alignment with specialised services and operationally time-critical nature when it comes to airport services. The objective of this report in this pilot program is to support a timely, commercially sound decision-making that keeps critical services operating, ensure aircraft movements continue safely and reliably, and to minimise reputational risk to council through delayed or constrained responses, whilst still maintaining public accountability and oversight. So today we are seeking a resolution as per the report's list of recommendations. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, we'll start with questions. Councillor Wright.
Thank you, through the mayor. Amy and Craig, I think this is a wonderful idea, and it's very innovative. What's the word? Innovative. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, so look, I think we're heading in the right direction, and we need to move with the times. And yeah, if this helps us deliver our, what we need to deliver out in the field, and like you said, it's critical services, and looking forward to seeing the results at the end of the pilot program. And yeah, well done.
Okay, any other questions?
Just in support, thanks Mr Mayor. Yeah, I totally support, well done Director Craig and Amy. It's a good report, and I think it streamlines the budget process going forward. The airport's a unique sort of an operation, and there's major works programmed in the future, and hopefully this will streamline some of that and make it easier, and it will be, what's the word? It's not as though it's going to be hidden behind, we're currently operating the default scheme. This is just moving to strategic, and well done, thank you.
Councillor Collins.
I think it's a great idea, particularly with the aviation, as there's limited suppliers in that industry. However, I do have a few concerns how to go in some of the other sections of the council, because it's going to be could easily be, not so transparent. But with the aviation industry, it's completely different. So I think it's a wonderful idea, and well done.
Would like to speak?
For me, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Bunn, yes.
Thanks. All right, thank you. I certainly agree with the councillors. I think this is a way forward. We know procurement's an important part of the processes of council, spending money wisely, getting things happening quickly. I certainly understand aviation and our commercial areas are very specialised. I'm probably just moving towards agenda page 116.4 of the recommendation that we authorise the CEO to approve the inclusion of additional procurement activities. So probably just a question as to, I certainly support the trial, looking at that very closely. I'm just trying to understand in this resolution, when we're opening up other areas, are those other areas commercial? How is that reported back to council? How do we know how widespread this is getting under the pilot program? We all hope it's successful, but how is that reported back to councillors? How are we made aware of any other programs that move outside of aviation? Thanks.
Do you want to address that, Mr. CEO? I think it's something that had come up previously.
So I take that direction as basically aviation only in relation to that, and anything that outside that scope will be coming back to council.
You hear that, Councillor Bowman?
I did hear that. It's point 4 says without requiring further council resolution.
Yes, I think I'll agree with you, Councillor Bowman. There's a level of ambiguity in that point 4.
Can we take that out?
Or alternatively just add within the aviation function.
So through the mayor, just to that point, it wasn't meant to be ambiguous, but what I would say on point 2, the area where it actually talks to the pilot program, so the pilot program is defined to just aviation by referencing the pilot program. It actually does refer to only aviation because that is the program.
Okay. Look, my expectation is that if it extends beyond that, then it comes back to the council. So,
So instead of,
Councillor Wright.
instead of no, through the chair, instead of no resolution, could you just change it to come back to council? Would that be a better option?
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. So I think we're probably proposing an amendment at this point. Is everyone? Okay. So I think just to clear up the wording at that section 4. Sorry, Councillor Finlay, did you have something?
Yeah, I do, Mr. Mayor. I agree with the director. The wording says to align with the pilot's intent. The pilot is the aviation. When we talk back to number 1, I don't believe you need to do an amendment. It speaks for itself.
Councillor Wright.
So can I just ask a question? So what does that point 4 actually relate to then? If we could just get some further clarification.
Yep.
Sorry, through that part, sorry. So with regards to point 4, I think what it's saying is, what it's saying is that activities relating to the pilot program will be authorised under the resolution. Again, we can take the amendment you suggested to really make that very clear that procurement aligns only to the aviation department. Any other procurement activities outside of the scope would come back to table for resolution or for decision. That's the sticking work. More than happy to really tidy it up so it's clean and
Make a suggestion in item 4, before the word activities, we actually it reads additional procurement aviation activities, to be very clear in relation to what the limits are.
So that's a fairly simple amendment. Do we need an amended motion to put that in there? Are you happy with that, Councillor Wright? I think, did I second that? No, Councillor Simpson, you seconded it. Did you happy with that?
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll just add that additional word there, additional aviation. Yep, that you're in for there. That's it. And that should be I think that's sufficient. Everyone comfortable with that? Are you comfortable with that, Councillor Bowman?
Yes, I am, Mr. Mayor. The plan does speak of initially starting with aviation. So again, probably my only point at this, we understand the resolution process. Is everyone happy with aviation, or do we make that word commercial activities?
I think we skip it at
I
aviation.
reckon quite secure that it'll be within aviation, and that covers the whole airport. Thanks.
Okay. Look, I think I'll just comment quickly on the procurement pilot itself. I'm obviously supportive of the initiative, and I think it's good to see the team's taken a very innovative step to address something that's been a long-standing issue in our internal audit program. That's something that I've seen in my time coming up here, and also through prior terms of council. So I think having a go at doing something different is a good step. And also want to recognise the efforts of Mary from the Audit and Risk Committee, who's also provided some input into that process. Look, in a nutshell, for me, I think this presents a shift. I think a lot with in line with some of the other direction that we're looking at through other areas at the moment, but towards a more strategic and structured approach to procurement, which I think is really necessary in the current environment. We've obviously got increasing operational complexity, increasing capital program. We know that it's getting harder to get value for money in different things. So I think really having this in place to provide that strategic focus, to provide what I will hope would be improved efficiency in your procurement, and better value for money for our customers and ratepayers. Okay, does anyone have any further comment on the report before I put to the vote? Okay, so I'm not going to read this full one, but I'll just get you to scroll up there for a second, Mads. So the motion that Council approves the establishment of the strategic procurement pilot trial, as noted in the report, also noting that it is specifically focused on our aviation function. I put to the vote. Those in favour?
I agree.
The motion is carried unanimously. Moving to item 11.4, donations, sponsorships and grants, February 2026. Move Councillor Clifford, second Councillor Collins. Director Wright, would you like to speak to the item?
Yes, Mayor, Councillors. So for February 2026, there was 4 junior elite athlete approvals granted, and 3 sport and rec clubs, totalling for the sport and rec clubs $5,500, and that's all we had for February. Next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or discussions on this one? Okay. The motion of the Council note the financial support for junior elite athlete applications and sport and recreational club applications for the month of February 2026. As per the report, I put to the vote. Those in favour?
I agree.
The motion is carried unanimously. Moving to item 11.5, which is the Regional Arts Development Fund, also known as RADF, 2025-26 funding round 2 for February 2026. Move Councillor Clifford, second Councillor Wright. Director Julie, would you like to speak to this one, or would you let Councillor Bowman, do you want to speak to first, or I know you're the chair of the local RADF?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy for Director Julie to sum it up as she's in the room. I might have a comment afterwards. Thanks.
Over to you, Director Julie.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, so for round 2 for RADF for the 25-26, we had 5 approved applications and 1 refusal. So the first of those that the committee have referred to approval was Natasha Hardiman. It's the launch of a 2-day intensive songwriting and music development program for young people aged between 12 and 18 years. It'll be delivered at the Whitsunday's PCYC, and it's followed by a public youth showcase. So the applicant requested $9,000, The RADF committee recommended $5,940, and the reasoning behind that was whilst the committee believed it was a great activity to support youth within the region, the recommendation was to partly fund the application that backs the development of youth development in music and songwriting through the NAVA workshop, which is the National Association of Visual Arts workshop facilitator rate, and requested that they've requested that, so they've only recommended part of the funding. The second was Whitsunday Public Art Group, and it was auspiced by our Creative Connections Whitsundays, and it's a public art firebomb palm trees on the Bruce Highway. So the project will firebomb 5 palm trees at the southern entrance to Proserpine, and it will be 6 metres by 4.5 metre artwork. It uses bright, durable, UV resistant fabric, and this artwork will create an exciting and unique landmark on the Bruce Highway. Parks and Gardens have consented to grant approval for that once council has resolved to approve the application. And secondly, the applicant has discussed the matter with Main Roads, and again they are in support of it, and will send through approval once the approval has been granted by council. Again, the committee said that they support the local groups, enhancing skills, and the recommendation was to fully fund the application. Third was Noosa Film Academy. It's a youth community acting and screen production workshop in Bowen and screening event. Requested $2,999, and the recommendation was for the full amount. The project delivers a conclusive digital storytelling and screen production workshops that build creative, technical and teamwork skills while strengthening community connection and cultural participation. Through hands-on filmmaking, youth and community members develop confidence, communication and employability skills while producing original short films screened at public community events. The initiative aligns with the RADF objectives by building community cultural capacity. Comments from the committee was that the group haven't included Proserpine for 4 years, and the question was why. The committee suggested that they are going to ask Noosa Film Academy if they've consider offering or offered the activities to any other schools within the region. The recommendation was to fully fund. It's a free workshop and screening events that have been well attended over the years. Donna Lawrence, Mindscapes, Art Appealing, an exhibition that empowers mental health through creative expression, requested $5,590, recommended $3,700. The project expands on Donna's ongoing visual exploration of dialectical behaviour therapy and bipolar disorder, transforming therapeutic principles into high-quality immersive exhibition that reduces mental health. The project increases cultural participation, fosters inclusive community dialogue and brings new audiences to the arts. It builds strong cross-sector collaboration, uses investment effectively and contributes to cultural innovation, community pride and the growth of resilient, diverse regional art sectors. The committee's comments were that NABER doesn't pay a rate for creating artwork. The onus is on the artist. Just paying the artist to create art isn't professional development. The RADF committee's recommendation was to support the community artistic event and mental health week Mindscapes exhibition only for that part of the application. Now the unsuccessful applicant, Nicholas D. Gregorio, it's tiny vinyl sessions showcasing Whitsunday musicians, requested $6,600, and it was to not approve at all for the application. The project supports ongoing production of tiny vinyl sessions, a fortnightly music documentation. The group don't see how that they can support this, as it's for equipment that stays with the company rather than a community not-for-profit group. The recommendation was not to fund the application. Whilst RADF does encourage emerging musicians, however, the grant guidelines do not support equipment purchases that do not remain for community use. And Councillor Bowman may add some more.
Councillor Bowman, would you like to speak to the item?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and thanks, Director. Julie summed it up very well. I'd like to thank her department and also the RADF officer. Also, always like to thank the members of the community who are in the committee who go through all these applications. Probably just to explain a bit more, the NAVA is a code of practice that almost sets an award pay structure for, you know, different artists. And when we do get these applications, we look at what is involved and try and set that back to that award rate so that we understand getting a reasonable pay rate for the artists involved, but also spending public money wisely. I'll probably just speak to it. It seemed very unfortunate to have to refuse an application in full. I would say if that was structured differently, if they got all the music artists to come together and propose that, you know, sort of getting that actual creative content rather than just buying equipment to produce things, that would be considered more of an artistic activity. So as the committee said, we really support that. It's just that we are bound by the guidelines, and I always say to applicants, please read those guidelines very carefully and word your application to that. Thanks again.
Councillor Finlay.
Mr. Mayor, fully support the committee's recommendations here, and just probably a bit of a support for the arts and culture in general. Like in one of these parts here, it's to do with the workshop for mental health and everything like that. And that's the importance of having art. It really, it's an active activity. People are actually using their hands, using their minds, and there's two grants in here for the young ones as well. And our library's doing a most fantastic job at the moment with some of their senior programs and everything like that. But this is where this is so good that we can invest in this, because it's getting people out there, using their hands, using their creative brains, thoughts and everything like that, and getting them out of the, you know, off the PlayStations and all that type of thing. The other thing is, Mr. Mayor, this is probably pretty timely, the one with about the Noosa one with the art, because just this week, a local Judah Kelly, he's just won an Oscar award for a small film that was just being produced. So if this money that we're investing here ends up producing some more artists or some film directors, just like we had Baz here back in the day in Australia, then yeah, the sky's the limit for these people. So, yeah, thank you.
I did was looking at that one myself, Councillor Finlay, and echo the comments there. I think yeah, some good good grant applicants there. I am quite partial to film myself, and I think having seen the work that the Noosa Film Academy did in Collinsville, the school out there, I think the outputs were really good. I guess probably just my question on that, is there any you know, I think they've tend to focus in on the schools and the youth cohorts. Is there a chance that program might be more extended across the region to possibly Proserpine, Cannon Vale, or Early Beach, Director Julie?
My understanding is, Councillor, that Jackie, that the arts officer is going to make contact with them to see if they can broaden it across the region rather than just localised here in Collinsville. Yeah.
Fantastic. Councillor.
So, Mr. Mayor, like, would that, does the RADF applications, probably through the council play as well, you know how we've got the old policy where you can only apply once? Like, can RADF be excluded from that? So, like, if we want to run this project in Barwon, one in Proserpine, one in Cannon Vale, you know, because you're going to need, you know, like 3 separate projects, Mr. Mayor. I'd be fully supportive. Yep.
So, Mr. Mayor, Councillor, we have an agreement and guidelines with RADF itself, so that's with the state, so we abide by those guidelines.
Oh.
And yep, if there's, yeah, there, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll look at it.
Yep.
Any further commentary? Okay, the motion the council received the minutes from the Regional Arts Development Fund Local Advisory Committee approve the payment of RADF grants for round 2 as recommended by Council and the RADF Advisory Committee to the recipients listed in the report, and also advise the applicant listed in the report that they were unsuccessful. I put to the vote. Those in favour?
I agree.
Motion is carried unanimously. Moving to item 11.6, Audit Risk and Improvement Committee Charter. I'll move this one. Councillor Clifford will second. Are you going to talk about this one? Okay. Norm, would you like to talk through the report on the Audit and Risk Committee Charter?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Where will I start? This was one of the things that came out of the Gary Callan's review of governance for the council. It may have started earlier than that, but that was my first time I encountered the change in direction for the what was the Audit and Risk Committee. The charter that you have in front of you is a contemporary, or reflects contemporary governance best practice, and it reflects council's increasing focus on business improvement, not just compliance. So the new charter modernises the committee's remit by retaining those core responsibilities for audit, risk, compliance, internal control and fraud, but it also adds a structured improvement function, including service reviews, tracking the implementation of audit recommendations and monitoring organisational performance and learning. The proposed charter is aligned with all of the legislative requirements and QAO's best practice recommendations. So we're looking at broadening the committee's focus for business improvement, embedding the opportunities identified through audits into council's operations, and improving governance maturity and strengthening audit readiness. So the new Audit Risk and Improvement Committee Charter responds directly to those issues. And just as an administrative matter, we need to revoke the previous charter to avoid any duplication or confusion. If there's any questions, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to respond.
Any questions? I'll talk to this one first. I probably was very keen. I think when we identified the need to obviously review our charter, really have a look at how it could be enhanced, and I think what we have here is a positive and important evolution of the actual committee's function as a whole. I think including improvement strengthens the focus of the committee. Probably my thoughts were very focused on receiving financial information and statements and really passing them through. But I think the change of charter really gives the committee a little bit more power to really identify risks, actively support the council, enhancing our systems, our governance, our performance and our productivity. So I think that aligns with the direction that I see at the moment, which is to continuously improve this organisation going forward. Councillor Finlay?
Yeah, I just endorse your comments there, and we've already started that in today's meeting by adopting the strategic plan for the procurement plan for the airport, and that's what this is about as well. So maintaining the audit oversight while extending into improvement. So, yeah, very good.
Any further comment on the item? Okay, the motion that council adopt the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee Charter as council's governing charter for the committee as attached, revoke the existing Audit and Risk Committee Charter adopted on the 28th of November 2023 on commencement of the new Audit Risk and Improvement Committee Charter, and authorise the CEO to finalise administrative arrangements including updates to membership instruments, the annual ARIC priority work plan and publication on council's website. I put to the vote. Those in favour?
I agree.
The motion is carried unanimously. Moving to item 11.7, Commercial Businesses Activity Report, October 25 to December 2025. Move Councillor Wright, second Councillor Clifford. Director Turner, would you like to speak to your report?
Thank you, Mr Mayor, thank you, councillors. So a snapshot of the second quarter of the financial year, so the period October through December. Again, strong numbers at the airport, 151,841 passengers utilising the facility. Average load factor is at 91%. So when you look at that benchmark across airports, that's a great result across all carriers and all destinations, which shows that the destination is still well sought after. It's an aspirational place to come, but it's also helping residents, locals, transit to other places from the Whitsunday, so it's about connectivity for all. Those numbers of 154,000, that's actually 3 months of year-on-year records. So what we're seeing is strong growth, and we're actually seeing that continue through into the third quarter. So it looks like what's occurring within the destination and also what the airport's doing with regards to managing our relationships with airlines is working, and that's about passengers. But passengers then translate to revenue and a profitable airport. So it's more than just the numbers, it's about a sustainable business that supports the whole Whitsunday LGA. One thing to point out probably is that the Jetstar 30% uplift that was negotiated a year ago, it started on the 26th of October, so a third of the way through that quarter, and that's what we're seeing some really strong growth. So if you looked at that quarter, for example, we're actually up 13% year on year for passengers, and that's 8% up on our seats. So the seat increases that we negotiated is actually transferring the passengers on those seats, so it's actually working quite well, which again just supports the destination is well regarded in Australia, but also for those international travellers. Now moving on to Shute Harbour. So the Shute Harbour Marine Terminal for the quarter, again, a lot of fuel sales, 354,000 litres of fuel. Again, supporting all parts of the Whitsunday. That's out the islands, the school kids coming from Hamilton, Daybrook to do their schooling in Proserpine or Cannibal. So, Shute Harbour, whilst it's a terminal for tourists and cruise ships, it's also an asset that council owns that supports the wider community and the locals. So that was 14,800 resort connections, so island transfers for that period, and it's 26,483 cruise ship visitors through that terminal. And it's probably worth noting too that whilst the cruise ship visitors are here just for one day, a lot of our marketing organisations, they're out there selling our destination, engaging with images and brochures, whereas to have these people come to the region, touch it, feel it, they're getting a site inspection of the destination paid for by themselves, which really, let's hope they come back into a 7-night stay sometime in the future. Hard to quantify that number, but I'm sure those that do come and enjoy the destination, a lot of them do come repeat visitors with family and the like. So that's probably just a point there about the importance of that cruise industry. Once again, the event centre at Shute Harbour is performing well. We're seeing a lot of usage there from all parts of the region. Foxdale Quarry, for the quarter, we produced 53,988 tonne of material. It was quite challenging, obviously, through that later end and then into the early parts of January with weather, which we always expect, and we sort of do allow for that. One thing that's good to see here is that our production is actually being matched, or in some points outmatched by our production. So we're seeing sales out the door with material we're selling, making, pardon me. So it means our quality product is being utilised. So that's a good sign. Whitsunday Holiday Parks. So through that quiet period, we actually did some capital works. So at the Proserpine Holiday Park, we did some water infrastructure upgrades. At Lake Proserpine, we did the works around easements and initial electrical works to actually deliver 20 powered sites at Lake Proserpine. Happy to report that those easements are in place. Ergon's scheduled the works, and we expect that to occur hopefully in the next couple of weeks to have that ready to go for the busy period. But the great thing about the power at Lake Proserpine, 20 sites, we're trying to build the shoulders of these assets. So we know we're busy in the cooler months to be able to have people go with the caravans, locals, tourists, plug in, put the aircon on, and enjoy that facility right through to sort of October, November, December. we'll build those shoulders. So it's be a great initiative and outcome for Lake Proserpine. And just with regards to other commercial undertakings outside of those core elements, the Queens Beach Hub, formerly known as the Surf Club in Queens Beach, I did see yesterday on Facebook, Councillor Wright and Finlay were out there meeting with the new tenants of the facility, so the Bowen Potters and the South Sea Island Outriggers. From all accounts, the photos are amazing, but they are really happy with that facility, and having it so visual, with people walking past and watching the Potters doing their thing, it's a good use of what was an asset that was probably previously underactivated. So it's great news. The RV park's progressing well, obviously aiming for a 1 April commencement, signs up coming soon. We've got all the improvements occurring now, so that's great news, so that should be good to go. Bowen Hangar, so the Bowen Hangar at the Bowen Aerodrome. In the report, it talks to it being negotiated within the last quarter. Happy to report that that's been handed over, so we actually now have a tenant utilising an asset that we were able to obtain via our process, which is good news. And lastly, the Sunday Event Centres was resolved for us to roll forward, so that's Shoot Harbour Marine Terminal, Cost Entertainment Centre, and also 360 on the hill. So we're rolling out marketing, we're starting to activate that brand. So what we hope to see is at a fine point when we actually pull the trigger on the event centres. We expect now to see over the course, and have to report back to council, that we expect to see results that are driving business to those venues. And I look forward to bringing that report back to council in the future with the result of those marketing activities under the Sunday Event Centre brand. Very happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Councillor Roll.
Thank you. You're good, Chair. Thanks very much, Director Craig. Just a couple, I guess. Well, while we're live streamed, I guess, and the media's in the room, just a bit of an update on Lake Proserpine. I know we sort of copped some flack with the Lake Proserpine closing, so I don't know whether that's Director Murphy or Craig, but the other, yeah, I guess the other topic I did want to raise as well, just following on from the Potters meeting, they did want to send through a huge thank you to council for the support there. It's definitely, like, they've gained new members already because of the location. People are walking past, and they're actually, the feedback that they're being given, it's great to see this activated. So I think they're looking for a spot to move their kiln into, that they'd like to be there forever. So I think, yeah, there's a few things that they'd like to work through, but they're very, very grateful for that. So thank you.
Councillor Clifford. You want to answer the question?
Through Mr. Mayor, the reference to the boat ramp at Peter Faust Dam and the pontoon. So Director Craig looks after the pedestrian one, which is attached to the caravan park. I don't believe it's suffered any damage. It's in operation. As the water goes down, it'll be usable again. In relation to some water advice as the dam was filling, we both have licence agreements in relation to occupancy of the water. The actual licence agreements actually do require us, if requested by Sunwater, to remove our pontoons as the dam approaches full surface level. For this event, Sunwater were happy for us to apply some additional securing chains and ropes. We did that for the pontoons. Unfortunately, some of those additional securing devices were actually removed by parties unknown. Whether that's associated with some damage that occurred, but the main pontoon attached to the boat ramp was damaged and has been taken off the water. We're currently seeking quotes for its repair, so the actual connecting brackets were damaged. And we also will put some additional chains in place. The boat ramp will remain closed until Sunwater advises us that the dam has dropped sufficiently below the full surface level. Normally it's required to be at about 95% before we can actually open it. I think we'll probably be able to push a button if there's no rainfall in the catchment and they're satisfied that it's a downward cycle. But the dam drops very low once it goes over the spillways. It drops very, very slowly. So what we're hoping, I don't think the pontoon's going to be ready to go back in before the dam's at a level that the boat ramp might be open, and we're currently seeking quotations and also trying to see if we can't recover the cost of the pontoon repair under REPA arrangements under the RFA. So we're still pursuing that, even though the guidelines say it's iffy. There is some arrangement between main roads and QRA that we're exploring just to see if not we can recover the costs. So at this stage, boat ramp remains closed until Sunwater advises that we can reopen under the Dam Operations Management Manual, and the pontoon, we're seeking quotations for repair, and I don't have a time frame for its reinstatement. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Councillor Clifford.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My question too is about Peterfaust Dam. How come other Sunwater dams are allowed to be used, and what impact is this going to have on our Easter camping and what have you up there?
Thank you, Councillor Clifford. With regards to the operational nature of the camping facility, so there'll be some impact with regards to people not being able to have their boats conveniently located at the actual campground, and furthermore, with regards to the boat ramp, until that's actually open, there is going to be some impacts. So these impacts, again, are done on a safety, by safety nature. And with regards to other facilities that some would have relationships and agreements with, I'm not a party to those.
No, that's...
What I would say is that we're working with...
Thanks, Director Craig. Probably Peterfaust is actually, I think, one of the few facilities in Queensland where it's actually not a Sunwater boat ramp. So the pontoons and the boat ramps, I think, on a lot of the other facilities are actually owned and controlled by Sunwater. They've often got a gate across, and they're actually not accessible after daylight hours. So I can think of some of the major facilities in Queensland, like Wollonga, that's actually the example. So we've got one of the few facilities. So we operate under the management plan and under the licence agreements. The licence agreements are quite specific in relation to council's responsibilities as the owner and manager of a boat ramp and 2 pontoons under my directorate, and pontoon under Craig's responsibility attached to the caravan park. So again, if the dam remains closed, the boat ramp remains closed, and the advice to anyone using the facility is that they're not allowed to have a vessel on the water. So until that changes with Sunwater, we'll support them in their management of safety of the facility in accordance with the agreements we've entered into.
Any further questions for the quarterly report for the Director? Comment, Councillor Simpson?
Question. Director Craig, the RV park in Proserpine, I was in there last week and there hadn't been any works done. Is there works progressing before the 1st of April, or is it just going to be like the old cricket pitch I used to play on many, many years ago?
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. No, I think I can confirm, and I have on very good authority from the team that's implementing the changes. They will all be done by the 31st of March. But I do know that the sign went up, I believe, on Monday, which was the one out the front with the red coming soon. We've got the works occurring on the paddock gates to go in. The fence is being done as well. We've got meshing around with the destination and with Holiday Park branding that's occurring, and all the bollard signage is done. So I think what you're going to see is action aplenty over the next 13 days or so.
Good, thank you.
Probably just one for me, Craig, just because it's highlighted in 2 sections, is around the topic of fuel supply. So what are you seeing there? Obviously, it's a key revenue mechanism for both the airport and the terminal. What is your sort of best guess on the next 3 months look like?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's extremely concerning, to be honest. I think that the impacts on our tenants and also on our partners at the airport and Shute Harbour, it's significant. I am happy to report that we did a significant fuel purchase at Shute Harbour when things started to get uneasy within the Middle East. So we're currently sitting at about 70,000 litres of diesel at Shute, which with a capacity of 110,000, so it was higher than that. We've also done a strategic second purchase to get us to 105,000 litres when it was at $2.40 something. So we are now at about 105,000 litres, and then what we will do is hope to manage that with smaller purchases, watching what occurs. So we're actually strategically looking at how we do that to ensure that we still apply the resolve percentage on top of our buy price. So what we should see is the tenants at Shute Harbour, for example, will be getting very competitive fuel as a result of the strategic nature of our purchasing. As for the airline, the airport airlines, I think they say that Jet A1 fuel, which is the fuel that the carriers use, has about 3.5–4 weeks worth. The question is asked to the airlines, they said they were very comfortable with their fuel levels. So hoping things settle down and we'll be able to proceed without any further escalations.
Thank you. Any further questions? Probably just on that note, I think fuel security is sort of probably something that's as in security of fuel supplies, not the broader fuel security. Yeah, I guess can you comment on are we doing anything additional to safeguard, particularly the diesel? I don't think anyone's going to steal the avgas, but yeah.
So with regards to our assets when it comes to fuel and the like, they are really airport funded, they're inside, so we have security on site. I won't mention the times, but they're there as a static guard, so we have full presence of the airport essentially 24/7 with our operations staff during the day, night time without security. Shoot Harbour, full 360 cameras everywhere. To your question, Mr. Mayor, it's probably an area that we should consider further revision of, just to make sure that we have that secured. There was an incident some time back where we actually did have people trying to decant fuel to the quarry as an example, and they were actually intervened by our security providers. So certainly, great point, and it's something we would we'll take away and make sure we've got buttoned up.
Thank you, Craig.
Mr. Mayor, in relation to infrastructure operations, we have asked our coordinators to be mindful of where we're leaving here. So the challenge for us is that cameras record what's happened, don't actually prevent the theft. The other thing is that without live streaming of the camera feed, we've got a few challenges without sharing too much. Everyone knows that if you pitch the camera, it's got a disc or a card in it. So we're trying to place our gear where it's very, very visible, and we've got additional cameras out there. So again, we've got good service. That's where we're leaving our gear, and we've got camera stations which are live feeding back. So shooting the cameras doesn't help. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Director Craig, at what point will you limit the sale of fuel at Shoot Harbour to our operators, so that the people that are actually there and are providing a service rather than me going fishing?
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Clifford. I can confirm that we've had operational discussions around the protection of supply of fuel to our tenants, ensuring they are well regarded and looked after. I would expect that there will be a trigger point within our fuel levels that we would allocate fuel to those tenants that are actually committed to the facility via their agreements and their leases. So we're definitely aware, we're talking with them, but there will be a trigger point, which I won't state the number, but we are definitely working to ensure that our tenants are able to operate at Shoot Harbour with some surety.
Thank you.
Anything further on this report? Motion the Council endorse the commercial business activity report from October to December 2025 as per attached. I put to the vote. Those in favour?
I agree.
The motion is carried unanimously. Moving to item 11.8, infrastructure services activity report, October 25 to December 2025. Move Councillor Collins, second Councillor Clifford. Director Murphy, would you like to speak to your report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, I just take the report as read and then just draw a couple of matters to your attention, recognising this is the period October to December 2025. Again, a strong focus on managing our safety responsibilities as a directorate. So I think it's in my time with council, it's the first time we've got our outstanding actions across the directorate down for a single outstanding matter, which requires a bit of liaison between some departments to finalise that one. But yes, as we transition to our new safety management system, it's important for us to try and have nothing carrying over, but also keeping our staff safe and taking safety seriously is a great outcome. And I think something that the management group carries off and is proud of. Secondly, there's a fair bit of statistic in there around how much of different activities we undertake. Happy to take questions from council. We do provide visibility of the number of defects. I've got questions in the past about around the differences in the number of defects between the different depots, and sometimes it's population and asset based, and sometimes just the nature of the condition of things. So again, happy to take questions on specific queries. In relation to waste, the period was a great one for promoting our recycling strategy. So there was interaction with the libraries and presentation by our staff on recycling. The data is there in relation to our volumes collected, our volumes that are going to landfill, our volumes that are going to be able to be recycled with our commingled recyclables and a curbside pickup. Again, the data, whilst the trend data is not there, we're consistent with previous quarters, so there's nothing untoward. In relation to progression of master plans, the final quarter of 2025, final period of 2025 was great progression of the cemetery master plan, the cemetery strategy. We also progressed the Galbraith Park master plan and the Early Beach master plan. So all of those were progressed with council interaction, finalisation of consultation, which resulted in all those plans being presented to council in the first meeting in January. So again, a lot of work undertaken during the period to get those plans across the line. In relation to compliance with our RMPC requirements, the data is there for council's information. We have secured some additional funding for recoverable works. We also did some additional work on the Bruce Highway. We expect that to continue. Liaison with TNR in relation to getting some assistance with the major repairs to the highway is ongoing, and certainly the packages which have been awarded to us as additional work to our normal, $5.5 to $6 million worth of RPC annual contracting help us with keeping our crews busy. So I'm happy to take questions, Mr. Mayor, from Council. Thank you very much.
Mr. Finlay, it's time to you.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Director, for a very comprehensive report and size as well. So all good. Just a couple of things, Mr. Mayor, and just commend the water main fellas, the plumbers, for a couple of replacement mains in the area. I know there was one down at Councillor Jan's area down there. Recently, and there was 14 odd water main broken just on there, and goes across the region. But one just recently was the Rose Bay one. I think it was about 70 metres of replacement main that got put in down there, following a series of breaks as well. The other one that's come to highlight is Hillview Road, and Troy's not here today, but I did ask Troy for some information on it. He came back with a reasonably precise report back to me on that, and just where they're planning to go with that one, because it's been breaking as well quite often, and but it's on the plans to probably put a new pipeline in there as well. Mr. Mayor, can I just also refer to page 189? I think it's 189, if I can get to there. I did take a snippet of it, and obviously it's not page 189. Hang on. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Page 182, sorry. Mr. Mayor, one of the things that this council, we've really done a lot of is, commend all the staff for their efforts, is all our plans that we've put in place. Director Merck just talked about all our master plans and ever. We've had our cemetery plans, we've had our drainage plans, we've had our town planning plans as well, and it's all coming together, Mr. Mayor. We're talking about our financial plans later on today in the briefing, which are absolutely fantastic. And what I see, and in page 182, the Director says that Council has identified all sealed roads scheduled for resealing and resurfacing over the next 2 years, Mr. Mayor. That is so good to hear that we are being progressive in our planning, knowing that we've got these roads coming on board. So when we go out the tender and whatever for the reseals, we know where we're going with the reseal program. So Mr. Mayor, I just commend the staff for their forward planning as well, and also what it enables the timely contract engagement. So we, in the future, even with the pilot program and the planning with the purchasing with the airport, it may be able to extend into something like this as well, especially from a reseal program, knowing that we know the roads that are going to be coming up, and we can go out there in bulk tender. So thanks, Mr. Mayor.
That's right.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, just a couple of questions. I think it's great to see in the report here regarding the service milestones. I think that's really great. Be better if we have names, but I understand there could be some privacy issues. So congratulations to those staff that have made those milestones. It shows loyalty and dedication. I did just want to ask a couple of questions in regards to the infrastructure incidents. The Workplace Health and Safety December seems to be quite high. I think that there was 8 under the transport heading. it seems to be higher than any other month. Did that have anything to do with the wet season, I suppose, or?
I did look at that as well, and it was, yeah, I think it wasn't just transport, it was water as well, sort of just seemed to uptick for the month.
Yeah.
Yeah, through this now, I have to take that on notice and unpack it to Councillor Wright, just so I can give that to information. I would say though, there'll be a variety of reasons. For example, I think one of them during that period may have been associated with a piece of plant where someone actually had identified a service issue. So there'll be a variety of things there which whilst they come from the directorate, where they end up for action, they could be related to a whole range of things across council's portfolio.
Yeah.
But I'll give you some detail.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's just noticeable in the month of December. Yeah. That was also quite high. Also, just you talked about the RMPC, and that's great that we've got the extra funding. Is that to be used for gravel, or is it just more maintenance? Or
It's largely the Bruce Highway, so not on the MCK work.
That's a shame. Okay. The other thing too, just really quick, Strathmore Road, if we could have an update as to how we're going, whether it's dried up enough, whether we can get out there, and I know there was a plan to move forward and grade and add more gravel, but just wondering where that was at, please.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Wright. I can report that because of the issue with fuel pricing, the tenders we entered into for the supply of material for council to go and do a home overload across the entire road using our depreciation expense. That contract has been renegotiated. Oh, sorry, will be back out to market. It's actually back out to market at the moment. I think we've got a very short turnaround. So is it dry enough to grade? Almost. It's open to local traffic only is my understanding. I had a conversation about Strathmore yesterday. My understanding is that we are still trying to fast track the reshooting of the road from town out to the station. We've gone back out to market yesterday with the assistance of the procurement team and corporate to seek quotations for gravel supply again, and we're intending to go and get that work done immediately to using our own crews, and then the Derrifay work, which has been held over for about 5 years. It's already been contracted, already subject to some variations. It will then continue and effectively put material on top of what council does. So that's the plan at this stage. So my expectation is that we should have the re-tendering under the local law arrangements of gravel supply by the end of this week. Now we should be able to award, and then we'll be right to go.
Okay, so is council doing the work there?
Council's doing a tranche of the work, so we're doing work ourselves to resheet effectively 100 mil material across the entire network. The DRFA funding that we've had, it was quite specific about where it could be applied and about the amount of gravel, and also because it's effectively been our last road to do for the last 4 weather events, it actually hasn't been properly maintained in quite some time. So we're trying to catch up with that. So when the DRFA work happens, number one, they cart across it, they're not damaging the pavement further because there's enough gravel there to support the repair activities and also the carting for other jobs. And then secondly, what we'll finish up with Strathmore is a product which is appropriate standard road. So we'll have a much deeper gravel profile, and it'll be fully constructed with table range all cleared, and we'll walk away from the project with a complete product. So our timing is now, and then the DRFA work with contractors will follow shortly after.
So, sorry, Mr. Keane, just quickly. So, timeline, when will we be looking at just doing our side of it and maintaining?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll commence by the end of March if we get everything lined up.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Councillor Clifford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Director Gary. Shute Harbour Road near Portside. I know it's a state road, but we have repaired it in the past. It and Jubilee Pocket Road, going up past the caravan park, they look like downtown Beirut. The holes are unbelievable, and to get around them, you've got to go on the wrong side of the road. And is there any plans to fix, or is the state going to help with Shute or?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Clifford, for your question. I'll take that on notice and just pass it through, because we have been prioritising roads around Shute Harbour Road and with the post event. So I actually thought we had caught up everything, so I wasn't aware we missed a couple. So I'll
they did do like a little temporary you know, whatever they put in the holes, then it's washed out. So it really needs to be dug up and put down properly.
So for council information, we're pretty much under RMPC arrangements. We're empowered to fix a repair. I think it's up to about 250 square metres, so 10 by 25. So if Shoot Harbour Road's 10 metres of bitumen, we can do a patch up to about 25 metres long. If it's a bigger area than that, then we've got to go and get approval through TMR for additional works. I'll follow that up and just find out where they're up to. Road Tech is proposing to have some crews come through and do some work. I don't know if that's on the schedule. I think it's mainly about Bruce Highway rather than Shoot Harbour Road. I'll take it and follow up.
Thank you for letting me know.
Councillor Collins.
A couple of questions, Gary. The first one is the water service broken, leaking, is 154 all up for the quarter. Is that an average figure, or would the dry season between October to December be causing a lot of that, you know, or?
Yes, I think I'll take what I know.
Yeah,
so sorry.
That's all good.
Do you understand what the background?
It just stuck out like dog's ears, actually, yeah. So also, John, also the a couple of years ago I put forward as a budget bid for the not automated, but the automated water metering, water meters, you know, with the, is there any idea if that's ever going to happen, or, you know, the digital ones, I know what you call them, yeah, you know what I mean, so, yeah.
Mr Mayor, at this stage I don't think we've actually been able to establish a business case and a funding source to actually fund them. Certainly in my last 2 places of employment we have digital meters, so I'm a fan, I understand what they do, but to go and fund it yourself can be difficult to actually have a commercial rate of return on the investment in new meters. So again, it would be, I'm not sure the numbers exactly for here, but it would be in the order of 12 to 15 million. The work's been done in the past. I haven't explored it recently. It's not part of our forward capital program at the moment. I think it's mainly associated with your return on the investment. Is that, again, if you've got a reason, again, my last place of employment, I was able to negotiate a deal where the state government paid for it. And the benefits are certainly there, but the upfront capital cost compared to the whole of life cost. So the way we manage that, just for council's information, is that we can implement district metered zones. So the benefit you get from managing behind the meter losses and losses in the transmission lines, we actually have got a program to manage losses via district metered zones and what goes in versus what comes out. I think I'd say to councillors, one of the challenges when you go and put in electronic meters, you actually solve a lot of leak issues. Well, that's water that you've already sold, so it has a financial impact because it actually reduces the amount of leak behind the meter, which means less water is consumed, which means less income. It's quite an interesting financial model to unpack. So at this stage, I don't think there's a plan in the short term to introduce smart meters, we'll call them smart meters, within the Whitsundays, based on the business case.
Okay.
Yes, Finlay.
Mr Mayor, some really good statistics in the waste area, and a very, very positive one to comment on is the new bin services. 16 plus 56 is 72. So that's a very positive comment, Mr Mayor. You must have some new residences or whatever. So very, very positive statistic.
I think mainly gives the residences. It's also reflective of if we've got a truck on a route, can we have a bin? It's also just around where we might go in future when we're reviewing what transfer stations we have. Is that there's opportunities to further expand our curbside collection and maybe reduce the reliance on some of our transfer stations. The trucks going past, that'll be part of the waste strategy, local, the actual council waste strategy that your waste manager will be working on over time.
Councillor Simpson.
I'll throw one out there, thanks Mr Mayor. Under the significant projects and opportunities, Director Gary, it says the biosolids reuse facility strategy stage 1 is completed. And while I'm up, I'll just say thanks to your staff, and that compliments to them the other Sunday afternoon. There was a fair bit of flooding down our way, and yeah, I see the staff out on the roads clearing debris and stuff. Thank you.
just in relation to the cells, so that piece of the puzzle in relation to the creation of the site, we're still working our way through future licensing and what we actually do with the product, with the forever chemicals, the PFAS issues and the like. So, so we've actually we know it works. The issue for us is what do we do with it post management of biosolids and green waste of the cells. So there's still a bit of work to be done there to unpack what the future viability of the site is.
Thanks. Anything further for the Director on this report item?
For me, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you. More of a request from me, just relating to page 183 of the agenda, the measle mapping to the road accomplishments. We used to get the defect map alongside the accomplishment map. I'd just like to request that reports go back to providing us the workload requested of the department alongside also what they're achieving, please.
Yes, we can provide that. Just to probably close out the other pieces of the council queries. Also I'd like to acknowledge the service awards Councillor Wright raised. We do have a process where we actually provide individual recognition, personalised cards these days. I think we're getting a lot better. We've got the 25-year club working quite well again with our 25-year employees, and we acknowledged yesterday at the depot that we have a 40-year award coming up for one of our workshop staff in April, so that's a significant milestone. Thank you to Councillor Simpson for recognition of the staff. Our staff are a bit tired. This Koji extended event has been running now for 6 or 8 weeks, and so there's been a lot of weekend activities. Again, the LDCC hasn't been activated every time, but our crews, it's not just the rating crews, it's the water and wastewater guys, our parks and garden staff. It pretty much involves the majority of the operational workforce. So they've been out and about, and they've done a great job. And I'll pass on the good wishes from the council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Director. Okay. The motion of the council received the infrastructure services activity report as attached for Q2 of the 2025-26 financial year. I put to the vote. Those in favour?
I agree.
Motion's carried unanimously. Moving to item 11.9, the monthly finance report. Move Councillor Finlay, second Councillor Clifford. Director Johnson, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, the Chair, I'd like to introduce Manager Financial Services to provide some updates on the report.
Thank you.
Good morning, councillors. So today we have in front of us the February monthly financial report. So these figures are estimated as this report was run early to achieve this meeting date. So these figures are also based on the original budget and budget review one, which didn't adjust. Our second budget review is due to come to council in April for adoption. Rates and charges were issued in February with our prompt payment discount occurring just Friday just been. We have flurry of activity across customer service. Water meter reads have occurred, and issue date we had some problems with our mail house, but I've had confirmation truck picking the notices up this afternoon to take them to Australia Post, and e-notices will be issued this afternoon as well. From a financial perspective, the overall position is where we're expected to see at the 8-month mark. There's a few variations, mainly due to timing, which should be cleared up through budget review too once we take councillors through that position. The operating surplus stood at 42 million after charging depreciation of 25 million. As mentioned, there are some timing differences, particularly around grants and subsidies. Interest earned is still tracking strong with the term deposits we have in place and the cash in the bank at the moment. We do have that higher anticipated cash with those additional grants that weren't originally expected. Net community wealth sat at 1.4 billion. Cash we spoke about historically. Property, plant and equipment. There's some timing capitalisations that are working their way through the organisation at the moment, preparing ourselves for end of financial year. Our inventory was a bit higher with the volume of stock that was held at that point in time when the reports were run. And our debtors were tracking high just due to the rates notices being issued and the due date falling outside of February. The other couple of things to note note, term deposit, so we do have 10 million that's coming off maturity this week in fact, so we are exploring interest rates following RBA's decision on Tuesday to increase the cash rate. So we are expecting that we will be able to secure some pretty competitive rates in the current market to make sure that we're maximising our return. From a capital budget delivery perspective, 22% of the capital budget's been extended up until the 28th of February. And there's anticipated that some projects will be rephased through budget review too, which, as I mentioned, will come to council in April. Our financial sustainability ratios are all tracking within expected margins as well. And happy to take any questions there might be in the report.
Mr Mayor, question to Minister of Finance or Director Paddy there. So in regards to the rates and levies, so with the water notices, so they would have been, the meters read in December. Was the actual levy done in February or levy actually done in March?
The March notices are a March, the water notices are a March issue date. So they'll be recognised in March, and we have accrued for the revenue up until the period of time that they're reporting to.
So my comment is that our actual rates revenue for the year is 118 million. Our budget is 118 million, which is right on 100%. And then we've got the December read of the water meters, and then our read for June is actually accrued back into this financial year as well. And if I remember rightly, last year the June water meter read was in over $4 million. So are we looking at like an $8 million more over budget with our rates and fees and charges?
Through the Chair, no. We have estimated what our revenue will be for this water meter read period up until the end of June. We'll reassess at end of financial year once the meter reads happen for the following read or the consumption between January to June. We've accrued what we think, where we think it will land. We're not going to come in significantly over budget. I think we've got about a $500,000 variance at the moment, and that's mainly to do with additional revenue we're expecting to come in through splits and amalgamations and things like that over the next few months.
Mr Mayor, maybe I'm going to say it, but I just don't quite understand that our actual today is $118 million. But we haven't levied the water for December, which was levied in March, and we haven't levied our June one either. I don't quite understand.
Through the Chair, apologies. So we've recognised the revenue that we're expecting to receive based on the water meter read. So as I mentioned, there was a number of estimates that were put through into the February reports as we ran early in order to recognise the revenue at that point in time. We'll be happy to provide some further information of the breakdown of the general rates for you, Councillor Finlay, if you'd like, following this meeting.
Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Any questions or comments regarding the monthly finance report? I think it's probably pretty lame, given there's probably not a lot of difference between this and the one presented at the previous meeting. I think it's maybe a week. Anything else? Okay, the motion the council receive the monthly financial report, including the unaudited financial statements for year to date February 2026. I put to the vote. Those in favour?
I agree.
Motion is carried unanimously. Okay, moving to item 11.10, which is our supplementary agenda item, future of electoral arrangements, Whitsunday Regional Council. Move Councillor Finlay, second Councillor Wright. Who we've got, are you going to talk us through this one? Norm, I'll hand over to you.
I'm happy to talk you through this. Going way back to when I was there in 2020, I think this was first raised, and it resulted in a consultation that was done in 2022. But the consultation we did just recently, January and February of this year, resulted in quite a lot of extra engagements. In fact, 3 times as many, 1,412 engagements compared to the 463. Now, having said that, the 463 was one of the biggest consultations we've ever undertaken before. So to triple that, I think, is a great credit to the corporate comms people and the way they engaged with the community. And of course, the more people who engage with council in these activities, the lesser, the more confidence we have that the results reflect the community feeling. Out of the consultation we undertook in January, February, there was a 61% support of a divided model. When it was through the online and hard copy services or surveys, and 57% support through the telephone survey. When you take out the unsure responses, 2/3 of the respondents supported divisions. Noting that the strongest support for divisions came from Bowen, Cohen, Collinsville and Proserpine, and they emphasised the importance of having a local representative and the accessibility of those councillors to advocate for the small towns and the rural communities. That was very important to them. Those who supported the undivided model were looking for greater regional accountability, stronger strategic and whole of regional decision making, cost efficiency and the ability to vote for a larger range of councillors at the elections. A number of stakeholders actually noted that candidate quality was as important as the electoral model itself. So I think they're quite mature or well thought out feedback we got through that consultation. And this, when compared to the 2020 consultation, it was quite a reversal of the apparent sentiment, where majority then supported the undivided model. The one thing that I suppose we have to be very much aware of is that the forecast population growth for the council area will occur in small geographical nodes, and that's likely to trigger more frequent divisional boundary adjustments to maintain that enrolment parity. We have a 10% margin above or below the average number of electors per division. So that may result in repeated boundary changes, and that then might create some confusion about who my councillor representative is at any particular point in time, because those boundaries will change. That simply means that we need to monitor that more if we maintain the division structure. Standing back a bit, any change to electoral arrangements requires ministerial referral to the Local Government Change Commission, an assessment by the Commission and implementation by regulation. Council's not able to unilaterally change arrangements without going through this process. So it's up to Council to decide the way forward. The consultation outcomes demonstrate a majority of continued support for retaining the divided electoral mode. And the recommendations also acknowledge the likelihood of future boundary reviews driven by that population growth, as I've talked about earlier, and the associated representational risks.
Okay, thank you, Noel. You'll move a motion. Would you like to speak to it, Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, just picking up. First up, many commendations to the communication team, and Jono probably in particular, who was out there and about the region, and put the many comments in there. And also just picking up Councillor Michelle with the quotas submissions. I know myself, I also went to another 3 other groups, not to talk about the visions, but it came up, and the consensus certainly was to keep it divided as it is. So I'd like to pick up, the stats speak for themselves as far as the numbers, but I think it's really, really important to acknowledge the comments and the top themes on page 12 of this report. And 209 mentions about values local candidates, accessibility to candidates. We have diverse local towns and local issues. And the next one down is 171, is equitable representation for all rural areas. So, the stats speak for themselves, and that's why I'm also supporting the recommendation today.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Wright?
Thank you, through the Mayor. I feel the results were very clear and very decisive. Our community has overwhelmingly expressed its support for retaining a divided council model with divisions. This outcome reflects exactly what many of us expected, that our residents value strong local representation, fairness, and the ability to have their unique community voices heard. However, the process itself did create a bit of concern, particularly in our smaller communities. Many residents felt uncertain about their future representation, and that uncertainty caused real fear out in the community. We should not have really put our communities through that, but we felt that it was a necessary thing for people to have their say. What this consultation has shown, it's not just a preference to keep the same model, but it's a strength and unity of our communities. When it matters, people show up, they engage, and they stand up for their local areas. The people have spoken, and I want to sincerely thank everyone who took the time to provide feedback and make their voices heard. And now it's our responsibility to listen to this, and respect the clear message that this is sent.
Councillor Wright? Further commentary, Councillor Simpson?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Well, it's an interesting one. It's been on the table for about 4 or 5 years, but I'm happy to support the recommendation to remain divided. Against my better judgment, there's for and against. I'll just make a few comments here. If you look at the stats on Bowen and Collinsville, it's 90% to remain the same. In the other areas, not so much. And the way I'm a bit more of an advocate for an undivided model, I strongly believe divisions divide. The mayor has to represent the whole region. When we do our capital bids and stuff, we're all fighting for our little patch. We want our footpath done, or our car park, or our roads fixed, or water, or whatever in our own little patch, and it becomes very divisive. But this speaks for itself. And I'm happy to support this. And it might be taken out of our hands. Like one of our neighbouring councils, Isaac, has 8 councillors and a mayor, a lot smaller population, bigger footprint, but they're different. We have the Cannon area that's growing rapidly. Who knows, we might end up with another councillor down there with some changed divisions down the track, but yeah, happy to support this.
Councillor Simpson? My bit, I'll be supporting the recommendation to retain the current divided model. I'd like to acknowledge, I think the initial intent, which was, it was a motion from the previous council, a resolution from the previous council that we re-engage, and I think really want to acknowledge the engagement's probably the best I've seen in my time, 1,400 responses. Which I think provides a really strong basis for making a decision. And I think from my perspective, I really always wanted to understand what the view of the community was in that decision making. So I think it's important that we respect that feedback first and foremost. I think this issue is somewhat like the referendums we have nationally, and that structural change of this nature really requires a strong mandate from the community and from also the representatives elected to make those decisions. So just a couple of observations I'd like to note just in the consultation. I feel that we've probably missed young people in there. I think the average, or the median age in the Whitsundays is 38 years, and I think we probably need to have a look at our consultation and how we can do more to capture those younger demographics in our feedback chain and make sure that their voices are included, because ultimately these decisions are about the future, and we need to make sure that we get their input into those. So I think the message from our communities, particularly in the smaller centres, is really clear, that they value local representation, and I respect that, and I'm happy to support the recommendation. Anything further from the floor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to
Councillor Bowman?
firstly ask a bit of a question. I'm just looking at page 13 here on the telephone results. The notes underneath refer to 164 responses from Airlie Beach, where there was only 100. I think I have to relate this back to when you say there's 1,400 submissions, we did cold calls of 500 people. So we could do any consultation call 2,000 people, 2,500 like spoke up on high rise, and we would get that many results. We also don't know that people who did telephone calls didn't also do submissions. So our results here are 900 submissions that came in. We did do the telephone calls. I have to speak for my community across all of them. Airlie Beach spoke very much about uniting us as a region, bringing us together as an undivided region. What we see is what I feel is a real setback for our council, this talk of us and them from the other towns saying we've got to fight to keep what's ours. And for me, that is a real setback that was done through this. But I'll be voting to do what I'm meant to do, which is the best interest of our entire region. And I agree with my constituents that that's undivided. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bowman. Councillor Collins.
Just in regards to the televote survey, I'm assuming the people in Gumloo and Guffalunga have put down Bowen as their place of residence, as in Proserpine we've got Hideaway, Dingo Beach, Conway Beach, Wilson's Beach, Strathnicky. Want me to keep going because it's quite a substantial area. So I'm assuming that a lot of those people always put Proserpine down as their place of residence, because that's where they get their mail from. So.
Thank you, Councillor Collins. Any other further discussion on the report? I think Councillor Cooper.
I'll just speak to that.
Councillor Bowman.
Right, thank you. In the last consultation results, we got a far more itemised area that showed, all these small communities broken down to what was received from there. I did put in a request for that to come through in this consultation. I know this has been forced through as a supplementary. That's why I expect there's a few typos in some of the numbers in there. I hope it doesn't affect the overall results. For me, it's very clear. Airlie Beach differs from the other towns. I'm really surprised this wasn't done by divisions. If we cold called 500 people and asked them what division they're in, I wonder how many would have actually known. But I agree with Councillor Collins. I would have liked to have seen a similar breakdown that we saw with the 2022 submissions. I also have to wonder why those submissions were eradicated and not rolled into this, as you do with other consultations. But for me, it was very helpful to see. In the last one, Proserpine was majority for undivided. This time it was about 66-33. So things do change, but yeah, I think when we're talking about those small towns, it was interesting to have that breakdown we did get in 22. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Cooper, did you have anything you wanted to add to this discussion?
No, not at this stage, thank you.
Closing comment, Councillor Cooper.
Mr. Mayor, and I should have remiss of me to say this in the first part, regardless of the numbers, just 3 of the 4 areas wanted undivided. I'm sorry, divided, sorry. 3 of the 4 areas, so regardless of how many numbers each, 3 of the 4 areas.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, the motion that Council note the outcomes of the 2026 consultation report, including majority community support for retention of the divided electoral model,
Acknowledge the likelihood of frequent future electoral divisional boundary adjustments driven by projected population growth across small nodes and the associated risk of community confusion regarding representative identity. Acknowledge the efforts of the community engaged in the consultation process and provided their considered opinions, and resolve to retain the current divided electoral arrangements for the 2028 local government elections. I put to the vote. Those in favour? Those against?
I disagree.
The motion is carried 6-1.
Mr Mayor, can I just ask a question regarding this?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, to the Chair. Just with the results now of this survey, will this then get sent out to residents that did take part? I don't know if that's one for...
Close the loop, I think it was
Greg?
called. Closing the loop, Greg?
Yeah.
Well, sorry, you weren't listening. Yeah, no, we just want to send the results out to the public, just so they know, yeah, just close the loop, make sure that they know what the outcome of the
So
polls
we've got basically there's got a media release and it's also okay on Sunday to have that, and now we are.
Okay.
Don't want to be.
Yep, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, on that note, yeah, we'll get through that ordinary business, but I'll move to adjourn for morning tea at 10:50 a.m. All in favour?
I agree.
Thank you. you on there. Councillor Bowman, you can hear us okay?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, we will reopen the meeting at 11:13 a.m. So our next item is 12, moving into confidential business. Can I have a move, Councillor Clifford, second Councillor Wright. Motion that Council close the meeting to the public at 11:13 a.m. in accordance with section 254J of the Local Government Regulations 2012 for closed meetings for the purpose of discussing the following items and the reasons for going into closed session. Report item 12.1, auction for intention to sell land for rate arrears. Legal advice obtained by local government or legal proceedings involving local government, including, for example, legal proceedings that may be taken by or against the local government. Would any councillors like to declare any conflicts of interest for the above reports? Councillor Finlay.
Yes, Mayor, the rate, and I have a described conflict of interest of my two clients, close associate and professional relationship as well.
Okay, thank you. And so you'll leave the room for that item. So we've got the motion there. All in favour?
I agree.
Motion is carried unanimously. All in favour?
I agree. I agree.
Motion is carried unanimously. Yep, you're about to go again, Councillor Finlay. Okay, so I'll just wait for the going on the live stream that we're back and. Okay, we're back. Okay, so welcome back. Item number 12.1, auction for intention to sell land for rate arrears. Councillor Finlay, you've declared a conflict of interest and we'll leave the room for the vote on this item.
Yeah, just like conflict of interest.
Thank you, Councillor Finlay. Okay, can I have a mover, please? Move Councillor Clifford, second Councillor Simpson. The motion of council endorse the Chief Executive Officer to be authorised to set the reserve price on the land described in the below table as listed in the report to be sold by auction for overdue rates and charges under section 143 of the local government regulation. Is there anything further there, Mads? No. I put that to the vote. Those in favour?
I agree.
The motion is carried 6-0. Thank you, everyone. Please let Councillor Finlay back in the room. Councillor Finlay, the prior item is carried. Moving to item number 13, matters of importance. Do any councillors have any matters of importance I would like to raise? Councillor Clifford.
Thank you. Just a general request. Could we have a look around at our yellow line marking? Because up in Arana, the yellow paint is now white. So there's lots of places around where that's the case, and then I lose it because people are parked there.
You take that on notice, Director?
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, there is. So there are some challenges in relation to overall budget. So in relation to infrastructure services, I'm just unpacking what capacity I've got left getting through the end of the financial year. So traditionally there's been a lot of special requests, all the line marking that we do, a lot of the signage work we do just comes out of the operational budget, which I don't think is going to get me through the end of the financial year. So just flagging, I've got our operations manager just unpacking what we can get done. Theoretically, a renewal of the line is either a depreciation or just a maintenance undertaking. So just unpacking, we're not going to put a program together for some of these higher profile ones, but I'm just making sure the cash at the end of the financial year. I'll come back to council.
Yeah, thank you. It's just the one up in Arana Street in particular. There were 4 cars parked there yesterday, and it's dangerous. The buses can't get up, and there's a lot of short-term accommodation up there, so there's fairly high traffic area. And with these cars now parking on what they think is a white line, when I know it's a yellow line, is actually causing a safety hazard. Thank you.
Anything else from the floor on matters of importance? Okay, all said and done. I'll declare the meeting finished at 11:40 a.m. Thank you everyone for your attendance.